Welcome to Sheila Select. The whole system will be ready in a few minutes. Take your seat and enjoy.
What's going on, everyone? I believe that people have a story that is built on thousands of hows, whys, and whats. Join myself, Chris Sheeler, as I dive into how people live their lives, why they do what they do, and what goes on through their mind while they do it. If you love learning what makes people tick, the Sheeler Select podcast has you covered. Episodes every Monday on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcast.
Hello, and welcome to Facts Schmacks, the podcast good enough to get you a C minus. My name is Matt, and I've got a story to tell you.
And my name's Kev. I have a story to interrupt.
Well, Kevin,
Matthew,
how are we going to begin the podcast today?
For the third time?
Yes.
We've had a little bit of a giggle fest here, so we had to start over. We're going to start with Facts Schmacks.
Sure, let's do it.
All right.
I'm excited.
The old 3 facts and a schmacked. Or no, 2 facts and a schmacked.
You know how this game works, right?
Oh, God. I don't know what I know anymore. All right. So it's the holidays.
Oh, boy.
You all ready for Christmas?
Mostly.
Okay.
I really should be.
So all those Christmas parties you're not going to be able to go to, you're probably going to want something interesting to say when you strike up a conversation with a stranger.
For sure.
You probably want to know some very interesting Christmas facts to break the ice.
I bet you do. Nothing like a little Christmas fact to break the ice.
Oh, yeah. All right. Fact or schmacked, Matt?
Okay.
December 16th, 1965. We don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
The Gemini 6 exists, and it's flying overhead. Yep. And it plays the first Christmas song in space, which is Jingle Bells. Fact or schmacked?
Huh. I know that they were able to play a song on Mars using the Mars rover. Could you play a song in space, though? There's no medium for it to travel through.
Well, I mean,
it's it's
in
high
the capsule,
atmosphere.
I mean.
Okay.
Like you're in Gemini 6. You know Gemini 6? Kind of in between Mercury and Apollo.
Sorry, that's a capsule, not a...
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
I thought that was a satellite. Okay, never mind.
Well, technically...
So they played Christmas music on board?
Sure, but it was the first Christmas music played. And it was Jingle Bells. Or was it?
Okay. All right. Maybe. I'm very suspect about that one, but let's go.
All right. Fact or schmacked. The image of Santa on a sleigh was introduced around 1819 by a fella named Washington Irving. This fella also popularized an old English legend, like this lore of a headless horseman by writing a story named The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So the guy who made the Headless Horseman also made the first image of Santa flying on a sleigh. Fact or schmacked?
It's going to become increasingly apparent as this episode goes on that I really should know this, so I don't know.
All right. Fact or schmacked?
Let's
Santa
keep going.
Was originally not, Christmas guy. He was originally a pagan, god or deity of the gift of fertility, and it was celebrated during the pagan winter solstice. That's kind of the origin of where Santa came from.
That one, my friend. That one I've got a real issue with. That one, Like, according to who is that the basis for Santa Claus?
I can't tell you where I get my notes for these. I can't reveal my sources on everything.
Because, you know, Santa Claus, there was a Saint Nicholas, obviously.
Yeah, that's...
which is where, that's where Saint Nicholas, there was a holiday based around him that was celebrated by Dutch people. And Saint Nicholas morphed into this Sinterklaas, which then became Santa Claus. But are you defining this as like, well, there was this pagan thing celebrated around the solstice involving the giving of gifts
that was named Santa, S-A-N-A.
That was named Santa? Then no, I do not believe that is true. I think you made that up.
So that's your guess, huh?
That's my guess. Is you made that up.
That was my gift to you. It was a nice, easy one this week. God damn. Yeah. It's really hard to look up Christmas facts that are kind of, fun. If you know what I'm saying? Like, Christmas is kind of just like, I don't know. It's Christmas.
Yeah. Well, and it's yeah. So, my musing for today is going to be about music. To give you a little bit of a background, I'm a bit of a musician myself. I've been playing music for, since I was about 13. I've been in bands. I've done a few things and recorded a few things, without getting specific here. And there's this video on the internet that I saw. I'm just seriously doing a response video to like a 12-year-old internet video or response, but it's by this thing, Axis of Awesome, I think is their name, and they do this video called 4 Chords, and it's just about how there are a lot of pop songs out there essentially that use the same 4-chord progression,
like GCD or A,
Well, it's not necessarily because they're all in different keys. It's more the, when you talk about the progression in terms of like a 1-4-5, or in this case, it's like a 1-5-6 4. But if you want to know what progression it is, think When I Come Around by Green Day. Obviously, you play guitar, you know that progression, or you know what those power chords look like. Anything that follows that structure is that progression. And they go through about, 3 dozen pop songs that all at one point or another in the song employ that progression. And it's a really neat video. I think like they're super duper talented. And it's very funny but I think people come away with it with maybe the wrong idea that that's something that would be like odd. Whereas, if you think about it, not to get too much into musical theory, but, most people are writing pop music within a key or within like 2 keys. Like they could change keys. Some people will put some outside chords or do some really fun stuff, but your average song is written to a key. A key has 7 notes in it. You talk about the, traditional major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. There's 8 notes there, but there's 2 do's, right? So you have 7 unique notes. Each one of those notes has a chord, right? The second do would be the octave. Each one of those notes has a chord that would naturally fall into that scale. If we took the G major scale, for example, you'd have G major, you'd have A minor, you have B minor, C major, D major, E minor. But then when you get to F sharp, the fifth of what any F sharp chord would be, the fifth is a very important note in a chord. If you don't have the fifth, or if you have to substitute the fifth with like a flat 5 or something, it's going to sound very sinister. It's just not going to sound nice. The fifth isn't in the natural key. It's the only root note where the fifth isn't in the key that you're playing in. So what this means is that in any key, you functionally wind up with 6 chords. And if you're going to make a 4-chord pattern, there's frankly only so many of them that sound good. chords aren't really anything that people should get hung up on, but it is, because of the way that like rock and roll is constructed, where the rhythm is really like, present. People ascribe more to that than maybe they should. If you're listening to the Jurassic Park theme, you're not thinking about how it's, 2 chords behind the big melody. You're just listening to the melody, and the chords are so spread out within the orchestra that you're not really paying attention to it. Whereas a rock band, the chords are like really front and center to the experience. I guess what I'm saying is that isn't anything special. Like the entire genre of blues uses the same chord progression. A lot of jazz uses the same chord progressions. They just do it in a lot of fancier ways. It's not as big a deal as you would think. Every building has a steel structure. Every song has chord progressions in it. There's a lot of chord progression shared between different songs. It's really not that big a deal.
Well, when you get down to it with music, you have 12 notes in music and infinite possibilities. I mean, think of how much music there is, and it always is going to overlap. Well,
12 notes in Western music, because other like Middle Eastern music, it's microtonal. So they have like, we have semitones, they have quarter tones.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So yeah. Which is really cool. Like if you listen to Middle Eastern singers, it's amazing. The way they can, they make those micro shifts in their voice, the way that we wouldn't train. You train that out of your voice, I guess, would be a better way of looking at that. I don't know. Adam, who I'm sure I'll hear about this from Adam, who produces our podcast. But
he's like,
which, by the way, if you've noticed that,
he's like, God damn it, you're wrong.
Yes. Oh yeah, he's just got his head in his hands right now. If you are noticed that we sound a little bit more consistent, maybe it's because we've got somebody who's helping us out on the back end in terms of the audio. So that's big props to Adam. That's really helping us out.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I need all the help I can get.
Speaking of big new things, what else is happening?
We have a Patreon. Because, we're trying to grow this little podcast of ours. And
a Patreon?
A Patreon, yeah. So we've got, we're going to be rolling that out in the new year. So kind of touch on this. We're going to kind of wrap up our first season here at the end of the year. And we're going to kind of roll a couple changes out in the new year. Like we're hoping to have a couple like guests come on. Maybe have a little bit of extra content, some bonus content in there for anybody who does want to support the show.
Bonus content,
a little early content, exclusive stuff, maybe some chats with your favorite hosts. I don't know.
Oh,
but we also have our top tier membership at the low price of $20 a month, which would greatly support us. You get merch every 3 months. Kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
It's not bad. I mean, I was like, when I was setting it up, I didn't know that was a thing. So I didn't really explore Patreon ever. And I was like, whoa, we can just give people stuff. That's great. So we set it up, and yeah, so there's some merch and whatnot. If you want to check it out, we definitely appreciate any help we can get. And yeah, that's the thing now. So that's going to be at patreon.com. Let me look this up, because patreon.com/Facts Schmacts. So FACTS
I love the name we picked, but I wish
there's a lot of S's in there, eh?
There's so many S's in there.
And then I always forget, did I pluralize it or did I not?
Because sometimes we do and sometimes we don't.
We'll get a little more consistent about that.
We're very, very serious, I swear.
Yes, we got the Patreon, and then, of course, the Facebook and Twitter. Sorry. That's my spiel.
And please also just continue to listen.
Yeah, just listen. This is a labor of love. We're not looking to get rich or anything here.
Yeah. Do we have any? Do you have any corrections? Oh. Do you have any facts FSQA here? Do you have any
you know what?
Corrections?
No, I don't. I don't have anything really that crossed my mind.
I've got two.
What did we even talk about last week?
I've got two Two corrections. First of all, I gave the wrong date for when the one cruise ship or the Venezuelan naval ship ran into the cruise ship there. It happened on, I think, November 30th, and I said December 3rd. The newspaper article that I was reading, or the CNN article that I was reading, didn't provide a date, so I just assumed it happened on that day that the article was published, and that was incorrect. So clear the air there. The other thing is, I went and did a little digging on Swastika, Ontario, and I did find out that it is not, well, it is named after the swastika, but it was named after a mine there. So very specific, like the Buddhist swastika for good fortune. So, I
told you it wasn't over the German thing. You silly guy, you.
I know. Sometimes, but hey, listen. But we like to correct our mistakes here. This is supposed to be thin, not wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair enough.
So funny that your fact schmacks here were centered around the origin of Santa Claus, because today we're going to be talking about Saint Nicholas. Who was
that's how you knew. You did all that research on him.
I actually had.
Damn it.
For a reason. So we're going to be talking about St. Nicholas. To give it a bit of a disclaimer here, I'm not a religious person. So I'm not going to I'm also not going to try to be insensitive. I'm not a weirdo, not religious person. I'm just a live and let live, not religious person. So the other thing is, St. Nicholas is, there is certainly some history that's known about the guy. But then most of it is mythological in nature. And we're really going to be leaning into that part of it because it's the most interesting part of it, frankly. So we're just going full hog on this. I think you will see that a lot of this maybe didn't happen. Yeah. Or you can come to your own conclusions about that. But certainly we're not trying to be insensitive about anybody's religion. But old Saint Nicholas was
Jolly
born,
old Saint Nick.
Was born into the Roman Empire in what is modern day Turkey. He was of Greek descent, and he's born.
I wonder if that's why we have turkey for Christmas.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't think so. I think we have turkey for Christmas because it's delicious. Has
anything to do with it.
So what do you think his birthday is? Father of Christmas? His birthday would be?
Oh, December 25th?
No, March 15th, dummy.
Well, I knew that. I thought you were looking for December 25th.
Well, I was, obviously. And then I was going to call you a dummy.
You know what's funny is in my researching, I found out that, and I think I knew this kind of, was that December 25th was not Jesus's birthday. They say Jesus may have been born in the, oh God, Siri, stop listening to me. Sorry. My computer was just starting to type out everything I said. Was not born on Christmas, but probably in the spring. But the Pope back in the day made Christmas to kind of Catholicize, if that's a word, a pagan holiday. Yeah, which I mean, you know that, I know that. Somebody doesn't know that. It's kind of neat.
It is kind of funny, and that's something that happened in the Roman Empire specifically. It's like Constantine was I believe the emperor switched the Romans to Catholicism. The Romans spent hundreds of years trying to beat Christianity out of Christians by any means they could, and then it turned out that it was pretty easy to get all the pagans to convert to Christianity just by kind of keeping the same holidays.
They didn't want to change their banking holidays, so they're like, it's Christmas now.
It's, because I mean, there was, Easter falls around the, summer or the spring solstice. There's a lot of holidays around the solstices. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Anyways. he becomes a bishop in the early church there. Now, supposedly, he was at the Council of Nicaea. Do you know what happened at the Council of Nicaea? It's thrilling.
No idea. I was trying to make a joke. It's kind of a funny name.
No, it is. Well, an even funnier name. They were solving the Arian controversy. Do you know what the Arian controversy was?
There's a couple of those in history.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the other one. There was Arian, I don't think that was actually the guy's name. It was something related to Arian. It was like Arianitis, or I don't know. It might have even been Arian. But he was a early church guy, church theologian guy, and he thought, get this, that God existed first, then he made Jesus. So like Jesus was like subservient to God. But the Trinitarians believed that God and Jesus were the same thing.
Like,
so this is actually a really fierce debate.
It's like the whole the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit thing. That's the Trinity, right?
Exactly.
I remember that. I went to a Catholic school.
Right.
So I know.
And so based on that, having done that, I think you can probably guess which way the wind eventually blew on that.
Yeah, but the whole story is
particular question.
The whole story was like Jesus was God's kid. So like, yeah, have you ever been subservient to your parents? But he's also do some chores, maybe wash some dishes and stuff.
Listen, you are sounding a lot like an Arian right now. I'm going to tell you. So supposedly,
he's probably a good son. That's all I'm saying.
Supposedly, Saint Nicholas was at this Council of Nicaea where they are debating this topic. They're going to hash it out, figure out once and for all what's going on, and he becomes so incensed by an Arian, might have even been Arius himself, speaking, that he went up to him and socked him in the nose. Yeah. Wow. And supposedly he was defrocked and he got sent to jail for doing that. He got put in a Roman jail there. But while he was in jail, you'll never guess what happened. The ghosts of Jesus and Mary showed up and they refrocked him. They frocked him right up. Okay. Yeah. So they gave him his vestments back. So, his jailers come back and he's back in his holy clothes, and he's got this story about how he was visited by the ghosts of Jesus and Mary who refrocked him. And that was enough to get him let out of jail, I guess. It was considered a miracle. He got refrocked.
Emperor's New Groove. Like
Kinda.
Got some new dues, and they're like, "Hey, where'd you get the new duds?" And he's like, "Jesus and Mary." You're good to go, man.
Good to go.
Wow.
Good to go. Well, got your clothes back somehow. Good to go. Something else that supposedly happens while he's, bishoping around after this incident is he goes into a butcher shop, and the butcher has a vat, or like a big barrel full of like pickling agent, like vinegar and dill or whatever. Is it vinegar that you pickle things in? Have you ever pickled anything?
No, man. No, but I've eaten a lot of pickles. I've never pickled anything.
Been pickled many times, but I've never done the pickling.
I mean, let's just move on before this becomes a lot of pickle jokes.
Yeah. So anyways, there's a big big barrel of something pickling in this butcher shop, and old Saint Nick walks in to the butcher shop, and he knows something's going on with this barrel of something that's pickling. There's a food shortage going on. What do you got pickling in there? And butcher says, "Oh, just some ham. It's not ready yet, but I got some ham." But Saint Nick's got saint power or something. Sees right through it. And in fact, you know what he knows is in that pickled barrel?
No.
Dead children.
What?
I bet you didn't think that there was dead kids coming in the story of Old St. Nick, but there sure was.
Oh, God. Back to form.
Yeah.
I knew our happy stories wouldn't last forever.
There was apparently the dead bodies of 3 children that he had killed and was going to cut up and pass off as ham.
Jesus.
And he resurrected those pickled kids. And he had them, I don't know, it wasn't a long-term resurrection. These things never are, right? I think he just resurrected them so that they could tell him that you know, it was
Dude, could you imagine that this was turned into a movie? Okay, so Nicolas Cage is Saint Nick, guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
This is 100% a Nicolas Cage movie. 100%.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
okay,
I know what's in that vat there, sir. And then this kid comes up and it's just like he's like Pickled Rick from Rick and Morty.
He pickled me.
Jesus.
So that's that. I think that's the reason that he's the patron saint of children. But why is he associated with giving gifts? Well, that comes from another incident where he had this neighbor. You see, he was supposedly famous for being very generous, but he had this neighbor, you see, who had these 3 daughters, and it was a real problem because he didn't have money to marry his daughters off. Back in that day and age, he needed to provide a good dowry to marry your daughters off, and he just didn't have it.
When I went to ask my fiance's dad, I was like, "Yeah, you know, can I marry your daughter?" He's, "Of course." I was like, "All right, let's talk about the dowry now, sir." There's no dowry anymore.
No, there certainly is not. There is just, you're lucky.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you get.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. God damn.
Need a little drink there. So he had this guy. It's, you know, sort of like, I don't have money to send my kids to college. He didn't have money to marry his daughters off. They were going to end up as spinsters, I guess. As a result,
they're going to have a lot of cats.
So, and it's hard to support all those cats. That's just going to be a further financial drain.
Absolutely.
So supposedly St. Nicholas, late one evening, went up to their window and just tossed a bag of coins, enough for a solid dowry for the oldest daughter. And supposedly it landed in a shoe. And so the guy was able to marry his daughter off, and supposedly St. Nicholas repeated this for the next 2 daughters, really helped this guy out of a jam. And for that
what was he doing
reason, he was tossing coins.
I don't know, man. Like making it
wow,
rain.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I think about this,
he's like, all right. What a
that is highly
old
offensive,
man.
but it's highly offensive. But now that I think about that, there's definitely an alternate reading of that story. He's at the perv rail.
Per Valley.
What can I get for a shekel?
I'm getting a lump of coal this year now.
Yeah, you sure are. But that's why there was a St. Nicholas Day tradition of putting your shoes out in hopes of getting money in them, I think.
Oh, man, that sounds like a pretty, Dutch thing. Was that a Dutch thing? Did that tie to the wooden shoes?
Funny you mentioned that.
Man, let's go.
So he does, St. Nick, he died at some point of something. Who knows? These people die. He's made a saint. His body's in Turkey, and as the Roman Empire is kind of falling apart, the Holy Roman Empire is falling apart, the Italians are worried that they're not going to have access to this body, so Italian pirates stole the body, and then it got broken up into a million pieces, and apparently there's pieces of it all over the world.
Saint
There's
Nick?
little pieces of St. Nicholas. Yeah,
Dude,
everywhere.
That's so dark.
It's a little morbid.
Do you think they pickled it?
I
I don't know.
Well, no, because by the time they got him, he's just bones, right? They're taking him in like 11, taking him like 800 years later. They just bones.
Okay.
Yeah, they just taking bones at that point.
It's so weird to think of how long that would have been.
Unless he was pickled first.
Right?
Yeah, if he was pickled upon, you're maybe onto something here. Anyways.
Further research is required.
Further research is required. Actually, yes, you are. You are absolutely correct that Dutch people, in particular, the tradition, the St. Nicholas Day tradition kind of died out in a lot of the world, but Dutch people still did it. And they brought it from Deutschland, or not Deutschland there, from the Netherlands there, to New Amsterdam, which was
Geography is
their
not
big
your
new
thing.
colony. And as we all know from They Might Be Giants, that old New York was once New Amsterdam. So yeah, they Dutch people brought it to New York. It kind of molded into this myth of this Sinterklaas who would start leaving gifts.
Okay.
As you very helpfully pointed out in the earlier episode, the idea of Sinterklaas, which became Santa Claus, having a sled that was, introduced in the 1800s. Twas the Night Before Christmas introduced the idea that Santa had reindeer. Or no, someone introduced one reindeer before that. Then it became 8 reindeer and the portly belly. And then there was the, ad campaign by Coca-Cola.
The tournament
really,
with the red suit kind of Santa.
Yeah, that really... I think like that image of him was kind of out there, but it really like cemented it as being
okay. Because I want to go back a couple seconds here to Sinterklaas. Can we talk about how badass a name that is? That's like a boss you would fight in a dungeon level. Sinterklaas.
Yes, I know.
I just picture Krampus. You ever watch Krampus, the movie?
Yes.
Absolutely
I haven't.
Great movie.
I should.
Dude, it's so
I really
bad.
should.
It's one of my favorite Christmas movies. It's up there with Bad Santa.
Bad Santa was really good. I love scary movies, but my wife does not at all. So I don't watch
Krampus
movies without her
it's
because
not scary,
I
it's
generally
amazing.
don't watch movies anyways. Yeah.
But yeah,
And she won't watch
Sinterklaas, I
Krampus,
just
like
picture
that's-
this like creepy old like big gross thing with big claws and covered in hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something
Sinterklaas.
real
That sounds
gnarly.
badass, man.
Sinterklaas could be a demon core band too.
Full circle.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
That would be like the name of their album.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Sinterklaas. Coal.
So that's the story of old Saint Nick, huh?
That's the story of old Saint Nick. Yep.
Wow, it's so dark
That's
and
it.
depressing.
Well, that's obviously, pretty sure he didn't resurrect any pickled kids. That's just my read on it. But
you don't know.
everyone's, at the end of the day, everyone's just trying to get to sleep at night,
Yeah, man. You know what I kind of wonder sometimes with these like these old tales and stuff is one like okay, and I'm just playing kind of like the pragmatic kind of atheist kind of guy here. Like it was probably just a story, maybe like a legend, whatever. But like back in the day, if you were half decent at like sleight of hand or any form of trickery, man.
Yeah.
You would have just been
For sure.
You would have just been running the world. Right?
Yeah.
You pull a quarter out from behind someone's ear and they're like, oh my Lord. Like, like they would never have seen anything like that or even thought something like that was possible.
Yeah. At some point, there was like the first guy who told a lie.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Sweet.
or like maybe when he was in that prison defrocked, he just like found a pair of clothes and was like, oh, fuck, I don't know. I'll just try to tell him this, see what happens. Comes
Or
out and
maybe,
they're like,
he had
whoa.
a supporter that fed him some clothes, if it even happened. Because the thing about all right, so if you want to get into like the historical part of it, this is a really great example of the juiciest parts of this story were written 100 years after this guy died.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
They're all all of the contemporary accounts don't have him even at the Council of Nicaea. And the story was originally that he slapped the guy and it was just, some Arian. And then it was the guy himself and he socked him right in the mouth. So he might not have even been at the Council of Nicaea. It's very possible that he might have been caught up in the Christian persecutions, before the empire converted. So like he probably was in jail at some point.
Yeah.
But the history isn't that interesting because the contemporary accounts aren't that interesting. It's sort of like the Roswell incident.
we gotta talk about that.
There's
someday.
the initial. Yeah. Oh, we totally are going to talk about that someday.
Dude,
but like,
listen, you know that poster in Molitor's office.
Yeah.
I want to believe.
Oh, I'm
That's
going to bum
me,
you
man.
out, man.
That's me. No, you're not.
So like, just
no, you're not.
just
I will
very
fight tooth
broadly-
and nail.
very broadly, like the story happens. The original story gets reported. UFO crashes and then quickly corrected to it was a weather balloon that crashed.
It was a weather
and then-
balloon. In air quotes.
And then nobody says a goddamn thing about it for 30 years. It wasn't until the 70s where some sci-fi or some, paranormal author just did, or it was like the National Enquirer or something dug up this old report and just decided to make something of it. And now that's like between that and Betty and Barney Hill, which is another story that, is like 15 years later, the story's getting told very differently than it was.
The Travis,
Travis Bickle.
Travis what?
Travis Bickle, I think. No, Travis Bickle's a hockey player.
You got Bickles on your brain.
Yeah. Yeah, the Fire in the Sky guy.
Yeah, the Fire in the Sky guy. But then, all the new stuff out with it. Listen, we're going to talk about aliens very soon, okay? Maybe not this episode. This could get to be a long episode.
So the new stuff with the
gimbal and the
mili-
Tic Tac and the Go Fast.
Listen,
dude,
if
David
I
Fravor,
was running a trillion,
David Fravor is a fucking. We trust this man to fly jets. Like this guy flew on 9/11, right? You trust him with a nuclear weapon to go bomb somebody. This guy tells you he sees something really crazy in the sky. I believe that guy. I don't believe everybody who says they see an UFO. Like this is like the 1% where you go like, that guy said he saw something. That's crazy.
I believe 1,000% he saw something that he didn't understand what it was. But that happens all the time, right? Just because he's a pilot doesn't mean he's an expert in absolutely every aerial phenomenon or optical effect that can happen at that. So the other thing I would say about those videos is the Pentagon obviously isn't going to come out and say, yes, our $1 trillion defense system gets confused by stationary balloons and planes flying in the other direction. They're much more likely to say, oh, yes, this might be a threat and please give us more money. Right? Doesn't make any sense that they would come out and say,
dude, there's too
this is
much
just,
out there for us to
this
be
is
alone.
just our really
We're going to go down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah, we got to do this later. That'll be a good episode. This stuff's too far away.
Yeah.
Nothing can go speed of light.
No, warp speed, dude. Didn't you watch Star Trek? You gotta jump in a wormhole or something. Just because we don't know about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
We have this idea that because we conquered an ocean, we can conquer space, and no, man, things are just too far out. But that is something I'd like to get into is because we're probably alone in the galaxy, or at least we're one of one or two intelligent civilizations that are probably very, very far apart and unlikely to ever.
I don't want to say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard you say.
Yeah.
Really?
I can back it up,
and all those stars and all those galaxies and all those planets, you think we are one of the only things? Dude.
Intelligent.
Oh, man, we're dumb.
One of the only things capable of launching something off of our own planet onto
Dude,
another
we're
one.
monkeys with shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
But I think the assumption I think that a lot of people make is that there must be something out there that's so much more advanced. But compared to the age of our galaxy compared to where it's going to be. First of all, we're very, very young in the age of our galaxy. We're very, very the early time in the universe was a lot more volatile, so it's a lot harder for something to exist back then. The window for something, so the window for another species to have a head start on us, at least in this galaxy, is not maybe as big as people think. And the distances involved are just so astronomically,
quite literally,
astronomically far apart. I totally believe there's bacteria and crustaceans. There's probably crabs all over the universe, considering things on Earth keep evolving into crabs. But I just, in terms of like intelligence, I think there's a lot that has to happen to get from here to there.
What if it's super intelligent?
Intelligence
crabs?
isn't
That's
something that
horrifying.
evolution selects for. Intelligence is something that we, lucked into. Anyways, that is quite a tangent we've gone off on the end here.
That's like half the episode.
From St. Nicholas. We will have to do an episode on that. But I am firmly we're early. And I feel like we're an early civilization.
There's
a mounting.
Put it that way. I don't hate. Like I'm not like, oh, that sounds absurd. Like that's a very logical thing to say. I just want to believe, so I reject that reality and substitute the idea that we're not alone and we're being visited. They might even.
I'm a space travel pessimist. I just don't think we're ever going to get out of our solar system, frankly.
Dude, yeah, I couldn't really see it, but all right. So let's just wrap this up with a nice little bow and put it under the tree for our listeners.
As our very schizophrenic episode.
Dude. It's like the best, worst episodes.
That's another thing that Adam is going to be just like head in hands as he's listening to me, because I know he very much doesn't feel the same way about that.
Oh, about the Alone in the Universe thing?
That's good. Not Alone in the Universe. That's ridiculous.
Maybe we'll have him on for that episode.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Kev's closing fact. I know this is what everybody's here to hear. So, Christmas and everything. What kind of treats do you like for Christmas? What's your go-to Christmas? Like, oh, grandma showed up and she brought me blank. What is it?
I've got a absolutely sick craving this time of year for jelly beans, but not like the fancy kind, the very, very old fashioned, like almost styrofoamy jelly beans or Toblerone bars.
Okay.
I love Toblerone bars. Yeah.
My buddy, he's got a thing for eggnog. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
My thing this year, Sid's made a bunch of Rice Krispie squares that we're supposed to give out for Christmas, to people, but then we just end up crushing them. So anyhow, in my research,
Rice Krispie squares are hard to make.
What's that?
They're hard to make.
Dude, they're so easy to make. It's insane. Like she'll go in the kitchen and 10 minutes later comes out and is like, I made Rice Krispie squares. And I'm like, I fucking love you. But anyhow, in my research,
got a gift.
What's that?
I said she's got a gift.
Oh, 100%. So anyhow, in my Christmas research, actually, no, you know where this came from was I was listening to Alan Cross, The Continuing History of New Music. Amazing podcast. Mm-hmm. And every year around this time, he does kind of the cutting room floor. He does like 60 facts about music in 60 minutes. So I was listening to it and I heard about this and I couldn't believe it. In 1964, what band do you think recorded a jingle for Rice Krispies?
In 1960, what was it? The obvious answer would be to go with the Beatles.
The Rolling fucking Stones.
And
it exists on the internet, and it is so Rolling Stones.
So if there's a Rolling Stones
song about Rice Krispies from 1964.
That's
62
amazing.
Or 64, yeah. I got that from Alan Cross, and I was like, I'm going to steal it and credit him. Because that's brilliant. Isn't that
great.
wild? Yeah.
That is wild. I found out that In a similar, I don't know if this is similar, but I found out that Brian Johnson from AC/DC, he was in a band before AC/DC.
Yeah. I saw this on the Dave Grohl thing.
Yeah, and like it's really weird because he's like trying to sound like, or he's doing something much more contemporary for his time. So he's trying to sound like Led Zeppelin, and he's pulling it off for the most part. He's got a great range. That's what he does. But it's so weird to hear him do something so different.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's cool. Huh. It's cool.
So yeah. Well, there's our show for you guys. Merry Christmas.
Our
Happy
wandering
New Year.
show. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, happy whatever you celebrate.
Yeah, happy holidays, folks.
Happy holidays. All right, bye.
Bye.